guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's episode is all about Natasha Denona's Sunset palette. This is an eyeshadow palette with 15 amazing colors inside. You probably have been inundated with Instagram photos and other YouTubers chatting about this, but I thought I would weigh in and discuss my thoughts and kind of do a look for you. And I wanted to mention that this is the second time I'm going to be taping this intro because I just uploaded all my footage and I hated the way my lower lash line looked. It looks okay in the viewfinder, it looks okay in the mirror, but when I uploaded it into or onto my computer, it looked like I gave myself bags. So I just wanted to mention that. You'll see in the demo what I did. I kind of added another color underneath, but anyway, I won't be doing that again. So if you're interested in finding out my thoughts and taking a closer look at this palette and then watching me apply this particular eye look, then just keep on watching. I purchased the Natasha Denona Sunset palette at a Sephora in New York when I was there earlier this month, and it was totally by luck that I even was able to purchase this palette in store the day that I was there. And if you're interested in hearing that story, I talk about it a little bit in my New York City makeup haul video, which I will link below, and I'll put a card up here as well. Anyway, I was so excited when they announced this palette, and when I saw preview pictures of it, I knew that I was going to have to get it. I've been playing with it quite a bit, so it looks pretty messy, but here's the palette. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it all over. I think it's like taken Instagram and YouTube by storm. It is so pretty. It is so beautiful. It is obviously a very warm palette. If you are not into warm shades, this probably is not for you, but it is a lot of fun. There are 15 shades in total. The palette cost, I believe, $129. There are, let's see, a mixture of creamy mattes, metallic shades, the pressed glitter shades, and duochrome shades. I have played around with all of them except for the red and the yellow creamy mattes. I just haven't had the opportunity to use them. And when I see this, and also the name, as the name would suggest, Sunset, when I hear that and when I see this palette, I really stick to pretty much all of the kind of orangey, peachy colors, and then I just sort of, I don't know, I just sort of forego the red and the yellow. A lot of people have been curious as to whether the Viseart Warm Matte palette that came out just a few months ago, if it is close to this, and I will just hold them up side by side and you will see immediately that the Natasha Denona shades, while they're similar, are much, much brighter. The Viseart shades are a little less sort of primary. They have a little bit more of like a, I don't know, like a brown, deeper sort of underlying hue there. So these you may consider a little bit more wearable, if you will. These bright colors, at least for me, are kind of hard to find a look that they would work with. But then again, you know, if you're going to use a red shadow and a yellow shadow, you might want them really bright. So that is the Viseart Warm Matte Shadow. And then I also have the Natasha Denona Star Palette to compare it to. There's really no comparison here. I mean, there's some similar shades, but you'll see that the Star Palette is a much sort of different color family, if you will. It's much more neutral. It is much less bright, and it is probably something, if you were to choose between the two, this is probably a little bit more wearable. I will say, however, that the pressed glitter shadows in the Star palette are much, much chunkier, and you can tell by just looking at the shadows. Like this color Cosmo in the Star palette, you can see the chunks of glitter in there, while the glitter shades in the Sunset palette the glitters are not quite as pronounced. So you can see the difference in the pan. Other than that, I think the palettes are comparable in terms of quality. I love the Star palette. I really love this palette also. I feel like I've used it maybe 4 or 5 times, and I've achieved a different look every time, but every look is very dramatic. I don't think I've been able to pull off a very sort of soft, natural look with this palette. I think you could go in with like this shade and a lot of the creamy mattes or even like this little duochrome here for like just a faint little pop. But when I open up this palette, I mean, you get really tempted to use all of these colors, and so I end up doing something kind of over the top generally. So let's go ahead and swatch some of these. Here's some close-ups of the swatch. I thought this would be more helpful. So this is Atmosphere, which is a metallic shade. This is Sinai, which is a creamy matte. Here is Ice Gold, which is one of the kind of crystal pressed glitter shadows. This is Mandarin, which is a duochrome. This is Bronzage, which is one of those crystal pressed glitters. Here is Volcano, which is a creamy matte. Here's Obeyed, which is one of those crystal-y shadows. Here is Horizon, which is a creamy matte. And this one is Sun Dazed, which is one of those pressed glitters. And here is Terra, which is a creamy matte. Bermuda, which is a creamy matte. This color, which is one of my favorites, is Morgana, and this is a duochrome. This is Panjin, Igneous, and Soul, the three last creamy matte shadows. So I personally really love Natasha Denona eyeshadows. They are incredibly pigmented. They do blend out really nicely. I find that the pressed glitter kind of crystal shadows are fine so long as you use your finger to kind of dab it in. You'll see in my demo afterwards that I use a brush to apply it to my lower lash line. And it's okay, but it just sort of, it kind of goes where it wants to go if you don't use your finger. And your finger is not very precise either. So that's the only downfall to those crystal shadows. But I feel like it's worth it. They're so beautiful. They have the most amazing color payoff. I mean, you can see the metallic glitter from very far away. So I really enjoy these palettes. I really enjoy these Natasha Denona shadows. And I have to say that I don't know that I would recommend this for someone who is just getting into makeup, who is really not used to working with very pigmented eyeshadows. They go on very strong, even if you're very careful. They are very pigmented. They do blend easily. I think that these would cause a bit of frustration for someone who's just starting out and just playing with eye makeup. I don't want to discourage anyone from purchasing this, but just sort of a thought. So if you're interested in finding out how I came up with this eye look, then just keep on watching. Okay guys, so I scooted you in super close. I've already applied eye primer. I've been using the Tom Ford Eye Primer Duo, I believe is what it's called. Yes, so I'm ready to go in with the Natasha Denona palette. And I'm gonna start with the Bermuda shade, which is one of the creamy matte shades. And that's this one right here in the bottom left-hand side. And I'm gonna use a pretty big fluffy blending brush because I wanna put that kind of all over the lid. And just sweeping that back and forth. And I'm just applying that all the way up, just short of like where I'm gonna apply like a brow bone highlight. So I'm sweeping that all over and just kind of missing the bottom edge of my eyebrow. I just changed the exposure on my camera because I think I was too blown out. So I apologize for that. Hopefully the lighting looks a little bit better now. I'm gonna go in with something a little bit deeper to kind of give me a little bit of dimension in my crease there. So I think I'm gonna start with this orange color here in the middle, which is color Horizon, which is another creamy matte. So I'm gonna go with this brush. I just wanna go in very lightly. So I'm just going to kind of place that right here in my crease and sweep that back and forth. Build up slowly. It's already giving me quite a bit of dimension there. I think it's so weird that it's coming out so much more orange on this side than on this side. Isn't that bizarre? Huh. I do feel like I always have an issue with this eyelid. It really just doesn't take shadow that well. I always have a harder time blending this eye. I'm gonna take my big fluffy brush and just sort of blend that out. Right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use Sinai, which is another creamy matte color, and that's the one over here. And I'm gonna slowly start to build up some color on the outer corner here. And bring that in. I'm gonna do the same thing to the inner corner of my eye here. It looks a little crazy at the moment, but hopefully it will all come together. I'm gonna go into this darker brown color over here, which is color Terra, another creamy matte. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep deepening up this outer corner. And the same for the inner. So I'm gonna go in with Igneous, another creamy matte shadow, and that's the darkest brown here on the bottom. Dip into there and really kind of darken this outer corner. I'm not too concerned about this side of my eye look here because I'm going to take a wipe and sort of clean that up. And then same for the inner. I got a little crazy there. All right, next I'm going to use one of my favorite shades in this palette, which is Atmosphere. It is this metallic color right here on the top left. I'm going to take like a shader brush, pack that on here, and I'm going to basically put that right where the brown meets the orange color. And then do the same thing for the outer edge. I had used this dark brown color on the bottom originally. I think I'm going to use this color, which is just a touch lighter, to kind of give this area a little bit more depth without getting too dark. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is use one of these crystal sort of glitter shades called Beige, I think is how you pronounce it. So I'm gonna use this one over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my middle finger, go right in there, and just tap that onto the middle of my lid. And I'm just patting it up to basically where I have that darker crease shade. And now that I have that sort of center bright color there, I can kind of play around with what I have going on either side. I want some more depth over here. And then I'm going to take a wipe and pretty much try and clean up this outer corner here carefully. And then last but not least, I'm going to put some of this ice gold crystal powder. It's that one shade that I feel like really sticks out of this palette. It's like so white. Because it's so white, you almost can't even tell what the texture is. So it's one of those sort of pressed glitter formulations, and this is not my favorite. But I'm going to go ahead and try putting that underneath the brow bone here, or on the brow bone underneath the eyebrow. I'm also going to put some of that in the inner corner here. So that's it for the top part of my eye. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, and then I will be back to do my lower lash line area. Alright, so I've done the rest of my face. I'm going to go ahead and finish up my eye look by working on this lower lash line. And I think what I'm going to do is just use this kind of mid-tone brown here and just sweep it right underneath my lower lashes. I'm only going to do it from like the outer corner, like a third of the way in, and then I'm going to do the inner corner a third of the way in as well. I'm basically going to leave like the middle blank. And then what I'm going to attempt to do is use one of those super metallic shades with a brush. Basically I want to get into this little part right here, and I don't think my finger will get in there precisely enough. Let's give it a shot. I'm going to use this pencil brush, which is a little bit bigger than the one that I just used. I'm going to go into that same metallic color that I used up top here. It does just sort of, I don't know if you can see that, it it's just like glitter sitting on top of the brush. I can see why this does not work that well. And then I'm going to press that in. And see if that works. It's okay. And then I'm going to take that other pencil brush that I used for the dark color, and I'm going to go into this orange shade that I used previously called Horizon, another creamy matte. And I'm going to go kind of underneath what I did, underneath the brown and underneath the gold. All right, so I'm going to spray my face, kind of set everything down. I feel a bit powdery at the moment. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put on some lashes, and then I will be right back with the finished look. Alright guys, so that completes this look. I hope you enjoyed this video on the Natasha Denona Sunset palette and the review and the demo and the swatches and everything. Let me know if you liked it by giving this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe below if you have not yet already, and I will see you in my next video.